Today I'd like to tell you about my latest cornet acquisition. It's a Conn 1972 19A. I bought it because it was cheap, but not only that, and it is a student horn, by the way, a student horn in comparison to a professional horn or a mid-level horn. So in general they don't play as well. They're made cheaper, and this one is definitely made cheaper. It was actually made in Japan. Conn stopped making horns in Elkhart in about 1971-72, so this was kind of a transition horn for them. The case was actually made in Elkhart. One of the reasons I like it, the other main reason I like it, I knew it would play well, that is, play like a cornet with a very dark sound, because of what's referred to as the wrap. It has a pretty wide wrap. Not only that, the lead pipe comes around, it makes a tight elbow, makes another elbow, comes into the third valve, and this kind of arrangement generally gives a cornet a very dark or cornet sounding tone. It is made cheaply because the number of braces between like the lead pipe and the bell area is very minimal. It only has two of them, and as a matter of fact one of them was broken, and I took it upon myself to reattach it with JB Weld, clear JB Weld, so it looks pretty good. Kind of a shoemaker job, but it'll do the job. It's a very pretty horn otherwise, in very good shape. It was extremely clean. The valves were very, very nice on it, and that's where you're taking your chances. You can pay a little or a lot for a horn, and when you look at the valves you'll know if you've overpaid or not. It's hard to overpay on this. The valves could not even move and it would still have been cheap. But the valves are very, very nice, and you can kind of see that there. It's hard to beat. They have very good compression. Put it back in right here, which means they don't leak. I intentionally misadjusted the valves so that the travel length is a little bit shorter. That allows you to play easier, and it also gives it a slightly darker tone. And then for a cornet, the adjustment is pretty much immaterial. It's very critical on a trumpet, but on a cornet, who cares? I just totally like it. It really plays well in tune. I do have to, this is the tuning slide, it has to be out, and I almost prefer that it have a little wiggle room on the first slide and the third finger slide, because if it's a little flat on either one of these, with it being tuned in concert B flat, then you're kind of SOL, and there's no way to go except to lip it up and down. But that's not required here. I made the correct adjustment, and so I always tune it. I keep it in the same tune. It'll initially play a little bit flat, but as you play it and it warms up, it's right on tune. So that's what you sort of want. You don't have time to adjust it when you're playing in a concert or a band or whatever. So just to give you some kind of idea how it sounds, and by the way, I paid $68 including shipping and a very nice case for it, and when I got it I felt extremely sorry for the seller, so I managed to send him another $60, and it made me feel better, and I'm sure it made him feel better. In my view it's still worth more than that, but you know, again, it's a student horn. He would have never gotten any more for it on eBay. I played about at least a couple dozen cornets and trumpets, mostly cornets, and this is right at the top of the list in terms of a sweet dark sound. So I'll just give you a little bit of demo on it, and you get the general idea how good or bad, in your opinion, hopefully not, it sounds. That note is the lowest note, F sharp, that a cornet can play, and it's generally very, very sharp. G sharp, I'm sorry, C sharp on a cornet, which all fingers down, is generally also very sharp, but this one again is pretty good. If I press the valve all the way down. The range is good, it's great for high notes. Well, that's about it. Again, it's a Conn 19A. There was a series that kind of started in terms of student horns. It turned into a 17 and 18A, but this was the first of this type of wrap. I had a student horn when I was playing. It was also what was called a director, but this one just so far exceeds that in terms of sound quality. So out of all the horns I have, I guess every time I get a new one I say it's my new favorite horn, but this one is kind of hard to beat. It's at the top of the list in terms of sound, and especially cornet-y sound. So and the good thing is, usually when I get a horn that I really like, I'm always afraid that something will happen to it and I'll go buy a spare. In this particular case, they're pretty plentiful. Even if I'd have to wind up going for an 18 or 19A, it would be essentially the same. And I suppose if I saw one that was immaculate for a couple $100, I'd go buy it if my wife would let me, which is kind of questionable at this point. I do have now, including one that I've loaned out to my music teacher, I'm down to 12, so that's not too bad. I'll be giving a few more away in the very near future, but anyway, that's it. I hope you learned something. If not, you wasted a lot of time. Bye.